Hi, everyone. Thank you again. For those of you who just joined, my name is Alex Day. I'm one of the co-chairs of Futures with Claire Warner. This is our third talk of the day. We have one more after this. We are exploring a lot of different topics. If you haven't been here with us all day, all looking towards the future, this sort of imagined moment in about 10 years of what the world is going to look like, what our industry and community is going to look like in a productive way. Really, we're here to provoke some thoughts, some change, some dialogue. So this next session, we are going to talk about the future of luxury. I'm really excited to introduce you to the Vice President of Food and Beverage for Four Seasons, Gianluca Sparacino. He's here to really dive in of this thing that many of us glance off of so much in our work, this notion of luxury. Where is this all heading? So without further ado, Luca, welcome.
That was great. You know what? I was really worried the room would be empty when I showed up because I think I'm either the oldest guy or the only guy wearing a suit. It's really nice to be here, and I was here last year, and I can see this evolves every year and it becomes bigger, better, and stronger. So congratulations to you all for making the effort to be here. So about a month ago, they asked me to join this and really talk about what I felt would be luxury from a position of 2035 and looking backwards. And you know, as I thought about it, everything in 2035 is a little bit smarter, a little bit quieter, curated. I wake up and my AI assistant is basically telling me whether I'm hydrated or not. It's telling me if I got enough sleep. It's telling me my emotional state. Everything is really perfect. It's gotten so far that it even tells me what time and what day my grandchild is going to be born. But none of this really feels luxurious anymore. It all feels kind of stale, organized, pre-planned. I'm 2035, I'll be retiring, right? I'll be looking back, and it's the first time in my life I get time to think, to really sit, to really wonder what's important. It's a space for me to feel, and I find that because we move so fast and we do so many things that we're inundated with information all of the time. So when's the last time that you got to sit and think a little bit? I realize I've come to see the world through a totally different lens, one that doesn't value perfection, because everything we're trying to get there is perfect. But we celebrate flaws. We celebrate things that actually are not perfect, things that weren't meant to be. Not the perfect cocktail, not the perfect drink, but it was just right. I think about my two boys, and they've grown up in this world which is all electric, right? They grew up where information is instant. AI tells them what to do. They know how to use AI better. AI is training them to be better parents. And what will they think of luxury? You know, growing up, maybe luxury for me was, a beautiful pair of new Louis Vuittons or a wonderful Patek. What's luxury going to be for you in your generation? I don't know. It could be different. And that's really what I want to explore. I want to explore what luxury is or was, right, and where it's going. But before I do that, I need to talk to you a little bit about my compass and what's important for me. And maybe if I press the button, it would help. So this is my compass, and this is my family. So several years ago, I had the pleasure of bumping into a gentleman called Giovanni Angelini, who later became the CEO of Shangri-La Hotels. And he told me basically, Luca, listen, all your priorities are messed up, and you got to figure it out again. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, because all you do is work. All you do is think about work. All I ever hear from you is work and the next food menu and the next item that you're going to make. He goes, you should be thinking about yourself and your wellness and your healthiness and your well-being first. And only when you think about that will you be able to think about what's next, which is your family. Because if you're not healthy and you're not well, and when I mean well is everywhere, you'll never be able to take care of your family. And if you don't have those two things in place, ladies and gentlemen, you know you can't do the work properly because your mind will always be elsewhere. I didn't really listen to him in the beginning, right? Because life went on and I thought I was right and he was wrong, and that's what happens when an older tells you something to do. But then something happened, COVID, right? And I think we've all lived COVID and understood that any time in life, wellness is at the front and center, right? And we've all had people pass away and things happen during COVID that made me really reset, right? And say, you know what, I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of me because it's important. So I decided to go and do my executive physical, which I hadn't done all these years. And she looked at me in the eye and she says, you need to change your life. She says, you're too stressed. You're not treating your body well. You're drinking too much. You're doing all the wrong things. And maybe for this group it sounds strange, but I actually gave up alcohol 4 years ago as part of my journey. And that was the beginning of my wellness journey in order to really hit home what was important. Since then, the gym's important, but really taking care of my mental well-being has been truly important. And then I realized that I was able to take care of the family and take care of what was important for them. And my boys here, as you can see, they've both recently graduated. They're both doing really well. And my other family is the one on the left, which is a picture recently taken at the Westlake Hotel in Four Seasons, where we cooked our own meals and sat as a team, but really sat and celebrated everything that we did. Why is that important? I think everything that, for the family piece that we did, we were able to take our gadgets and put them away. We sat at dinner every night. One of the rules that we have, one of the only rules that I had, was when you come home at nighttime, you put your gadgets away, and we sit at the table and we learn how to speak to each other. Look each other in the eyes and take the badges off. I'm not your dad. She's not your mom. Be careful what you say. But you can say whatever you want. I believe the reason my kids are successful is because they had that. They had the ability to speak. And I don't know if I see it at work all the time when I'm interviewing people, how hard it is sometimes to interview people when it's not scripted or when they have to talk off the cuff, and that really helped. And I think sometimes this technological piece that we talk about gets in the way of us creating and us being really fluent and affluent per se. But you know what? We were able to move forward. And so really, I think what's important for me is luxury is, humble, right? Luxury was not a concept we used in my family, but looking back, it's something that always existed. My grandfather was a craftsman. He was a carpenter, so he used his hands to create. He didn't talk much, right? And he didn't own anything. The only luxurious item he ever had was a Seiko watch that I now have, right? But luxury for him was being able to take his camper van around, park it in front of the most beautiful sunrise and sunsets, and that was luxurious for him. It wasn't about money. My aunts, believe it or not, they were all chefs. They all ran a restaurant in Italy. And luxurious for them, you guys will probably laugh, it was the restaurant was closed on Tuesdays. They all went and got their hair done together, all four of them. And those big hair dryer things? And that was their most luxurious moment of the week. And that was something that you couldn't take away. What was that for them? That was a memory. And so as you're starting to see luxury, what is luxury? Luxury is being in a moment, in a place, in a time. It's all about memories you create. Over the last 10 years, again, 2035, I tried to keep focused that those little things were the ones that kept us going and made us great. And don't let things like the technological piece or the AI piece take that away, because ultimately it's people who make those memories, right? It's people who make you feel good. It's people who create and craft. Just like today, the bartenders, they're the ones who make the longest lasting memories, right? And as we go further and we talk about actually what you're creating, what you're buying, and what you're doing, I think that's the most important thing. One of the things that struck out the most was this illusion of luxury. And I think you understand it. The illusion of luxury is we portray ourselves online perhaps as somebody that we're not, right? And this struck hard. I was in Italy having this wonderful dinner, group of friends, all looking at truffles and the whole thing, right? This was in the heyday when I wasn't probably as healthy as I am now. And I struck myself that I had to pick up my phone and started taking photos of everything purely to understand what I would post online, right? I wasn't in the moment anymore. I wasn't capturing that spirit of being in the moment and just loving life. And I think that's something that has changed and will change, and we're moving forward with. We're not documenting joy. We're documenting maybe an alter ego or an alter persona that we want to be, right? And it's important that we bring it back into space. The danger, we were misleading others. I think often we start believing that the alter persona is somebody who you actually are rather than not. So I'll give you this simple example. Everybody's like, oh, you're vice president of food and beverage in America. Is this such a great title? And that's not who I am, though, right? You're still not the persona. That's my job. And I can easily, I go to 90 countries and I can post about all 90s. But is that who I am? And is that what I'm bringing to the table? Or can I curate something super special so when we connect for the first time, you walk away saying, you know what, that was one of the best connections I've ever had. Think about how that affects you in your industry and how that affects you on your day-to-day basis. So social media gave us reach, but it took away, I believe, some of our roots. Luxury in its purest form really has nothing to do with visibility. It has more to do with presence. And if I learned anything, the most beautiful moments in life are usually not captured, they're actually lived. Luxury nostalgia is a very real thing. And I don't know if you noticed the photo here, but there's a gentleman called Heston Blumenthal who created this dish. It's called The Sound of the Sea. And when the dish is presented, it's presented with headphones. And the reason he did this was he wanted you to be in the moment that he was in when he created this dish. Off the coast of France, the water crashing against the shores. I mean, if you close your eyes, you can picture it. But he felt that you want to capture all senses, not just what person's drinking or eating at that same time. And this applies to 100% to the work that you do, right? And that's true luxury. I mean, reliving what Heston felt at that time was true luxury. So what is luxury then and now? I mean, I think luxury has become the language of status, not the soul. In 2035, luxury is something else. It's become sustainable, 100%. And I know a lot of people are talking about that, but it's not we need to be sustainable conversation. It is we are sustainable because that's how we think. That's in the root. It's in the core of what we do. It's personalized, intelligently designed, and yet I sometimes wonder if we made luxury a little bit too perfect or what we do too perfect. Where's the imperfection? In 2035, everything is optimized. You see, everything's analyzed. We're super analytical about everything. We get so many reports. I get reports coming from left, right, and center. I don't even know the reports to cover the reports, right? But where do we sit? How does that help us? How does all this information really help us? And who raise your hand, who has information overload, right? All the time, right? And it's about compartmentalizing. You're good, don't worry. So everything is up, but I think in 2035, the thing I would miss the most is the friction, right? Of creating things and being close to somebody and finding those imperfections. We used to collect things, now we curate. We used to go to bars, right, in the old days. And now we talk about experiences only, right? An omakase bar experience is the norm in 2035. We figured that one out. Or pop-ups, we call them pop-downs at Four Seasons, if you haven't heard. But everybody's created a special mood. And again, I think it's all about recreating that memory and making memories last forever. And in a shift, I think by trying to be so perfect, we've lost something. And you see where this is going? I think we need to go back and find that, what we lost. I think in 2035, people start opting out of Instagram. They start opting out of being a presence online and start going back to what they were, the roots. I see my kids now, they're already changing. TikTok was a thing, right? It is a thing, and you can sit there and use a lot of time, which I do. I'm on TikTok all the time. Probably shouldn't have said that, but for me, it's a way to relax because I find stories and news and all the rest of it. But it's also a time to share stories. But I think what you're finding is that people have, again, this information overload. Our guests, I think, starting to see that they want to create these memories and they want to be closer to these memories rather than just seeing them online. They want to fill them. So they want somebody to be able to recreate a Manhattan like it was done in 1870, for example, right? How does that feel? How did they come up with that, the soul of making that drink? How was that important? Maybe the next evolution of luxury is embracing imperfection. So there's this saying, wabi-sabi, and I'm sure you've all heard of it, embracing imperfection. And I'll tell you a quick story about this. There's a very famous chef in Tuscany who he was working one night, 3 Michelin star restaurant. The plate breaks right as it's going out. It's the last dessert of the night, and it falls on the ground. And he's like, "Oh, what do we do?" Rather than destroying the pastry chef, he decides to take a photo and create a whole dish around it. And the dish is called "Oops, I Broke the Lemon Tart," or "Oops, something like that. But it became one of the most popular dishes. And what did he do? He really embraced the idea of imperfection and this whole idea of wabi-sabi. So I urge you that embracing what's not perfect is really where we need to be going in terms of luxury, and it's really where everybody's headed. The bar has become the new standard of luxury. I think you all know that. We used to go to restaurants, 3 Michelin stars. We used to go to wonderful lobbies, afternoon tea at the Ritz, all of that. But I think the bar has become the point where people meet again. It never went away, but I think it's the place where you can sit and talk to somebody. You can reveal your innermost secrets if that's what you want to do. You can just have somebody listen to what you need, and you can have a brand new food and beverage experience, right? And I think that's the important part. And I think where you play a role is never forgetting that the most luxurious thing in the space is you, as people, as human beings. It's not necessarily about the drinks only. It's the future of the luxurious bar is not inside the Four Seasons or the hotels. It can be anywhere around those complexes. It can be anywhere that you need it to be. But I think the most important thing that you can do is touch somebody, right? I've worked for Four Seasons for 23 years, and I can tell you this. Everybody asks me what's luxurious, and it's such a wonderful company. There's a lot of great companies. Ritz-Carlton is an amazing company, right? And I give them all the credit. But I tell you this, the one thing that we've always done at Four Seasons is we love our people, and our people love us. And I'm not saying it because I'm standing here today, and I want you to believe that or join us. That's not at all. I'm telling you that that's what's the root of us being exceptional. Because when you have exceptional people, right, that's true luxury, right? And they're the ones who execute at the highest level, and they're the ones who are going to be, they're the ones who are going to make you successful. So I urge you this, as you create your next concept and as you create your next future, luxury is what you believe in. It's a moment, it's a time, it's a fleeting moment, right? It's a place that reminds you. So for me, luxury could be being in Thailand, but having a plate of, I know I'm going to sound very Italian, having a plate of spaghetti bolognese that my mother would make in Thailand. That's luxurious for me, right? Luxury can be whatever it means for you. But how do you recreate that luxury in your environment, in your bars, right? In your work piece? What is that luxury? How do you make people feel great about what they're doing and your people? How do you get them to create on your behalf? That's the hard part, and that's the sauce, right? So true luxury, I don't think it's buying something. I don't think it's AI-driven, even though you can ask AI what true luxury. I have no idea what they would say. But I think true luxury is taking everything that's prevalent. So we talk about sustainability. We talk about non-alcoholic, and the influence that that's going to become, because it's going to be just a normal day-to-day occurrence. But how do you take that and make it something super special, right, for the client? But luxury is going to be not what you did for them, but how you made them feel. And you heard that before this afternoon. And I believe that that's really the most important thing. So really looking back and if somebody, they often ask me, what was my biggest achievement in Four Seasons? What was the bar or restaurant that I felt most proud of? And there's this place that we opened called Butcher and Still in Abu Dhabi, which we opened 12 years ago, I think, 10 years ago. And it's originally supposed to be called the Windy City Grill, based from Chicago, because I had grown up from Chicago. So it wasn't a concept that I had written, it was a concept that I had lived. So in parting for you, luxury, if you can find out what makes you great or what your history, and you can make that, whether you make it into a drink, whether you make it into a concept, whether you create something special, I believe that that's what's going to be rudimental in your success. Because if you're doing something because AI told you to do it, right, it's never going to be as successful as something that you know is within you, right? And that's what I believe is true luxury looking back and over the last 10 years. I thank you, everybody, for your time. I think I've gotten the 5. I still have time. I'm going to get some questions. But I did want to leave some time today for questions. And I really appreciate everything. And I'll be around for a little bit afterwards if you have anything to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gianluca. Thank you so much. I think we've got time for one question. Better be a good one. Who wants to ask a killer question? Yes, at the back. The furthest person in the room. Quickly. It's better be a good one, no pressure.
Oh, gosh. You were speaking about the consumers at the Four Seasons and how you're noticing them starting to adapt, how they want to really experience and feel things. How is that physically playing out? Like, are you seeing less phones? Are y'all encouraging more programming for connection? What are y'all doing and seeing?
So you made me laugh just now because first line I was going to use when I came here, I was going to tell you guys all to put your phones down. I said, nah, that might not work. What we're seeing is, I think the consumer is starting to do it, right? I think the consumer is starting to play out their own world where they are asking us for private space, right, or non-technological space. And I can tell you, we have a hotel that's built that offers that. It offers the ability, right, to just unplug, no Wi-Fi, nothing at all, so that you can actually reconnect with your senses. And the whole point of that experience is to discover the wellness part. Sorry, to rediscover the wellness, but to rediscover yourself. I think that there's going to always be this rub, right, about what you can and cannot force. But I do think if you're bold enough to make a statement, to say, we're not going to do this, or we're not going to allow tech time from this time to this time, I believe that you're going to have a lot of people doing it. I'll give you another example. I'm working with a group of guys ladies and guys, who are opening a non-alcoholic bar, right? And just to climb into that space, and yes, we have non-alcoholic offerings, but actually to open a bar in that space is a big question. But you got to be bold, and you got to be strong, and you got to understand who your clientele is and how to drive that clientele. So the advice I would give you is, if you think it's right, and your gut tells you it's right, you may offend a couple of people along the way, but it's going to be fine, right? And if you think, in parting, if you think that Steve Jobs, somebody like that, didn't know that he was going to offend people along the way, then he wasn't doing his job, right? And all the great leaders in this world always had visions, and they've stuck to those visions. So I do think to claim your space back is going to be important.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Gianluca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 5 minutes and we're going to reset for the next speaker. Marissa Johnson is going to talk all about the future of socializing. Thank you. 5 minutes.